Tired of your hobby feeling like a chore? I've been there. Today I've got some budget-friendly projects to get you back into the groove. No pressure, no big kits, just quick wins. Today on Modeling with Mike. Hi, I'm Mike, and Moosey's with me. He's the star of the channel. And you're here to watch some quick builds, so let's go to the hobby bench and get to it. Okay, we're here at the hobby bench and got everything we're going to need to do our 3 builds. First thing I need to do is put a coat of paint on this. So before we get started, I'll just do that and I'll tell you we'll talk a little bit about hobby burnout. So what is hobby burnout? Or more importantly, what's the signs of hobby burnout? Well, you'll feel fatigued. You just know the same old thing, going back to the workbench and here's my same old model I've been working on, blah, 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 blah. And another thing which goes hand in hand with it is boredom. And when you're stuck with boredom, you'll be like, I don't feel like doing this. I'm bored. It's the same old thing. Same old, same old. Will it ever change? You start thinking like that, you've got some real bad case of hobby burnout. Another thing is frustration with large kits. You're just thinking it'll never end and no end in sight, and oh my, you start thinking like that and it's all over. You officially have hobby burnout. So I'll tell you about my clash with hobby burnout. It came about the holidays this year. I was planning this YouTube channel, and I was trying to rush through what I had on my workbench, so I had everything clear for the start of the channel. I wanted to devote most of my time to the YouTube channel and getting it off the ground. I just worked myself into boredom and worked myself into just not even wanting to go to the workbench. I didn't have my desk then, so workbench was the only place I could go to do my YouTube stuff. So I was getting a bad start on that. And, I didn't feel like doing models or anything connected to the workbench. And then, got into YouTube and started doing YouTube, sort of adjusted my thinking, and then the Mojo came back. So basically, sometimes you just need a change of pace, and not a new stash of kits. So that brings us to 3 quick projects you could do. This is budget project number 1. We're going to scratch build a crate. This is going to be a supply crate, an ammo crate. And for this, you're going to need some sheet styrene. And you're going to need 2 pieces for the, 2 pieces for the side panels. These are 20 millimeters by 6 millimeters. And a top and a bottom, which are 20 millimeter by 10 millimeters. And two end panels, 10 millimeter by 6 millimeter. Okay. Once you get them cut out, you're going to sand them smooth. And one thing you got to remember is there's no pressure to make it perfect. Okay. Fast result equals an instant win. We're talking about getting out of a funk right now, not trying to be perfect. So sand the parts smooth, and we start gluing the parts together. Always use a flat surface to keep them aligned. And first, you'll glue the 2 side panels to the edge of the end panels like this. So I'll just open to my extra thin. You're using styrene, so to my extra thin will work. Put it on the edge here. Be liberal with it. Lay it down. Put a side panel onto the side. Okay. There's that. Now, make sure that's aligned with the edge there. Get your other side panel. Put some more extra thin on here. Add this next side panel. Okay. Boom. Now, your end panels. End panels go outside on the edges like that. So we make sure that isn't being stuck to the table. Got some extra thin on the ends here. Okay, put your end panel on there. Remember, you're not making this perfect. You just gotta look like a box. Okay, there we go. Well, mine a little better. I'll let that dry. Put some extra thin on this end. Put the other end on. And you're getting something that looks like a box. Like that. It looks like a box. It resembles a box. Therefore, it must be a box, right? And now the top's just going to slide in the top. Slide that into the top there. Boom. Okay. Something that resembles a box. Anything that's left open, you can always use putty or sprue glue, something to fill it, make it even. But like I said before, we're not after perfection. We're just after a quick, happy little ending here. Something that looks like a box. There we go. It resembles a box. Okay, it's not the best, but it'll work. Let that dry. Now, that box is going to be part of the, well, let's go back on that. To finish this box, you could do a number of things. You could get some, make little slats of wood, make it like a wood top and all around. Or you could just get some thread or something, put handles on the side. I think once everything's done, settled here, I'm going to paint this steel. Use my steel paint here, Vallejo steel. Paint it steel, put some thread around there for handles, and it's going to go, and that's going to work great. So we're going to use this on budget project number 2, which is going to be a micro diorama or vignette. I'm just going to make a small vignette. My extra thin is done, so we'll go to Gorilla Glue here. And we're going to need a toothpick for this. Now, for a micro diorama, these are micro, remember, micro meaning very small. You can use a bottle cap, a matchbox, a little matchbox. We're talking about very small, micro, tiny dioramas. Or you can use what I'm doing, using a small base. Use household items. I am going to use coffee grounds for dirt. If you're going to use a snow diorama, you can use baking soda for that. You can also use tea for dirt. I got my coffee from these pods that I got. So now, basically, I'm going to use Gorilla Glue. I'm going to put some Gorilla Glue on here. Make sure you get an ample amount, because what we're going to do is spread it around. That's what the toothpick's for. I'm going to put a hole. Going to cover this whole thing with the Gorilla Glue. So we're just going to spread it around. Spread it around. All around the top of this. I want a nice thin layer of Gorilla Glue. And you want the whole surface of the top covered, because we're going to cover this whole top with coffee grounds. Okay, pretty good. Now, all you got to do is spreading this around till the whole thing is covered. Get another toothpick out. Start spreading these around. All over the top of this. I want every inch of this top covered with coffee grounds. Okay. Now, all this stuff on the side will wait. That stuff is done. Everything that went on the table, just brush it off into the bowl, back into the bowl. Okay. Of course, you're going to get dirty, but why? Just wash it off. Well, yeah, wash it off in your little pot of water. Dry your hands off on your towel. It's not all gone, but hey, you know. Now, I've got a spray bottle. This is watered down glue. I'm just going to spray this on here. Get this nice and covered up. With glue. Okay. Now, we are going to we'll use our Gorilla Glue, and we'll put, I got this 1/72 personnel carrier out of my collection, and that's going to go onto my vignette. Just get a drop of Gorilla Glue on each wheel. This will go right on there, like that. And then we will put the Gorilla Glue back, because I'm still going to go back, and this is already pretty much dried. But, you know, put this right on here like that. Call it supply drop. Everything there's going to dry. Going to be just like it is. And yes, nice. Spray a little more on here. Make sure it's everything's, once it dries, yeah, it's going to be called supply drop. Of course, we're going to wipe off all the excess coffee grounds off of there. Quick win number 2. All this took us maybe what? Well, I had part of it done beforehand, so you do all this, take something out of your collection to put on there, make your crate. I did all that in about 5 or 10 minutes. You know, cut out, it takes a little longer, like it took me about 20 minutes to cut out the pieces last night. So altogether, you got 2 quick projects done that look good. Once it's all dried, it's gonna look good. And you could use some styrene rod, put up some, you know, fence posts or something, put a tree around there or something, and bingo bango, maybe a couple of soldiers. I might do that. Get me a couple of soldiers that are standing up. The only soldiers I got in my stash are machine gun guys lying down and then crouching and all that. So, yeah. So that's 2 down. My third budget project's not really a project. I'm really going to show you a technique. And this is called hairspray chipping. Okay. Now, and this is just going to be practice. Uh, as you saw, when we first started here at the workbench, I had this pre-coated with, I used pearly silver gray from my Ophir set, and I let that dry. So you want to put your first coat down and let it dry. Then you use hairspray, spray it down, get a nice coat of hairspray, maybe two, and let that dry completely. And then, as you saw, I just chose a blue, put it on there, and I let it dry for all this time. It's been about 15-20 minutes. You want to let it dry 15 to 30 minutes. Let it dry, but don't let it fully cure. And this top coat has to be an acrylic. The others won't do. So what you do after it's been dry for 15 minutes to a half hour, you moisten the area with water. You use water, put it on I'm going to put some water on a Q-tip. I'm going to moisten this area up right here, and you let it sit for 30 to 60 seconds. Let that water get in there. Okay, I'm watching the clock now. It's been about 45, 50 seconds now. So what you want to do is take your toothpick, gently scratch, tap. As you can see, where we put the water, the paint is chipping off. And it's exposing that silver gray paint. Now, if you want more subtle chipping, I'm using this makeup sponge. And you just dab, 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 dab. See how that's starting to show right there? There we go. This is the toothpick. That little spot there is the sponge. You can see how big time the toothpick's, chipping away at that, and how little the sponge is. So that's how you do hairspray chipping. Other things you could do for some practice on techniques, you can do as I did in my airbrush series. You can make 2 lines. This is going to be airbrush practice. You go, have your airbrush off, turn on your spray right between the lines, and when you get to this line, okay, let's show you again here. Go here, when you get to the first line, turn on your spray, turn it off, and then go over here, come back, spray off, and get your spray between the 2 lines. You could do that, or make a cross hatch, and you can try to spray a dot in the squares, and then try to spray a dot in the cross hatches. So that's something else you could do. Okay, now I'm going to clean this up, and then when we come back, I'm going to give you some bonus tips and some final thoughts. when we come back. Okay, we're back, and here's some bonus tips for you. Number one, find a nice, easy kit and do a 30-minute challenge build. Try to build this simple kit in 30 minutes or less. And if you don't, hey, try another one. Number two, you can make a mood-busting display case. Make an easy one. Get some small clear plastic sheet. Measure it out, cut it out. You want it nice, so make sure you cut each part out correctly, not rushing it, but but make a nice display case for probably your best model. You can look at it and say, hey, I made that. And third, I did some videos on this. Try using makeup and household items for weathering and practice on it using those things. So you get real good at it and it looks just like the real stuff. So as you can see, burnout doesn't mean you're done. Just means it's time to do things differently. Small and cheap projects can reignite your joy, and they don't have to be perfect. Reminds me of the old YouTube adage. The saying goes in the YouTube field, done is better than perfect. Same in this case. So, have you ever been hit with burnout? If so, what did you do to get out of it? Let me know all that in the comments. Love to hear from you. Always love to hear from you folks. Upcoming videos. I am going to do next, as I've said before, gonna give equal time to Bandai to the Millennium Falcon. We're gonna build the Millennium Falcon next. And I am thinking about, after that, doing a video on DIY clamps made with, get this, popsicle sticks and binder clips. How am I going to do it? Well, you're going to have to check it out and find out, because I ain't going to tell you. Channel update. The State of the Hobby video has run its course, and we stopped at 333 subscribers. That's up from when it started, we had 158. So we almost got 180 subscribers during that run. Wow. That's a nice run. So that's all I have for this video. And you know what we say around here. Never stop pushing your modeling boundaries. Until next time, bye!